Hey everybody, how you doing? So I think we're finally starting to get to the bottom of the reason why the Reform Party is now going very, very soft on Islamism and Islamists and the people within that extremist ideology. So here we have Yusuf. So this is Zaya Yusuf, Mohammed Zaya Yusuf, by the way. That's his full name, Mohammed Zaya Yusuf. So he says, Yusuf explained that Syria's political landscape has shifted dramatically, with jihadists in senior government positions following recent regime change. If you're a British citizen and you are concerned that there are people in Syria, in Syrian prisons, that are a security threat to the UK, where would you rather them be? Yusuf asked GB News. Well, this is my solution to the problem, and I've said this in live streams. If we believe that these people are a direct threat to the UK, then we shouldn't bring them here, especially the young lady that is below in the picture, Shamaya Begum. She shouldn't be allowed back in the country. She's not a British citizen anymore. She had a British citizenship stripped from her, so she's not of our concern anymore anyway. She shouldn't be coming to this country in the first place. And if we believe that these people that the now Syrian government is letting out of the prisons are a direct threat to this country, then we need to use our intelligence services on the ground in countries that gather intelligence on these people, find out if they're a threat, and then instead of bringing them back here, we use militaristic measures to neutralise that threat. That's how we deal with them. These people are enemy combatants. They are not of our concern. Why should we bring these people back to our country for me, the taxpayer, to pay for them to live out their lives in a prison cell for the rest of their lives? Why should I pay for their upkeep when people like this Shamaya Begum, ISIS bride, she was an enforcer, so that means she was involved in maybe torture, but we know for certain that she was sewing people into suicide vests. That's in the intelligence report on her. And from experience of being in Iraq myself, I know what these people were capable of. They were torturers, they were lookouts, they would lay IEDs for British patrols and American patrols because they were expected. They would be lookouts, they would have remote phones where they could remote detonate IEDs and that sort of thing. We don't want these people back in our country. And I've said this in my live stream, because the minute she steps back in this country, the human rights lawyers, the lefty human rights lawyers, are going to start, they will launch an appeal to get her out of prison. And they will. She will be walking the streets of the UK if the human rights lawyers have their way. They'll go to the European Court of Human Rights. They'll say it's against the human rights. She'll be out on the streets. That's for certain. We don't want this woman back in our country. The best thing we can do is keep her on the outside of this country and monitor where she is. We have the intelligence on the ground to do that. That's how we do it. And if she becomes a threat, if she starts contacting her old contacts in ISIS, we neutralise the threat. We take her out, like we did with Osama bin Laden, like we did with all the others. Like we did with the other Taliban leaders, the ISIS leaders. We take them out. If they're a threat to this country, they're a terrorist threat to this country, we take them out. It's that simple. It really is. And this explains a lot as to why the Reform Party is basically doing U-turns on these things, because of Mohammed Zaya Yusuf being the chairman of the party and bringing his money into the party and influencing things over there. Nigel Farage isn't a right-wing politician. People have said he's a libertarian. He's kind of like the Tory Wets. So is Richard Tice. These two people are like the Tory Wets that we've been despising in the Tory party for so long. We've got to stop putting these politicians on pedestals. We need to criticise them. That they're not rock stars. They're not movie stars. They're public servants. And I'm going to repeat what I've said before. We need to treat political parties like utility companies. So long as they provide a good service, so long as they service us, the people, you support them, you stay with them. The minute they start not giving you a good service or going against what you believe, you swap, you build something else. And we're still 4.5 years away from a general election. There is still time to build a new political movement, a new political party going forward that does stand for the people. Going to the middle ground, being centre left, centre right, solves nothing at the minute. You go to the middle ground to compromise. And because we've got a hard left establishment, we've got a hard left government, you cannot negotiate with these people because they will not negotiate in good faith. They will always demand what they want. You can go in and compromise. You will not win in that situation. You won't. You need a hard right party that draws the line in the sand and says no to these people, makes demands of them instead of compromising with them all the time and capitulating and taking the knee to these people. That's what we need in this country right now. And the Reform Party, at the minute, is not performing that role. There are certain people within the party that are. Rupert Lowe, Richard Tice, Nigel Farage, Mohammed Zahir Yousaf are not. And they're the three main people in charge of that party. I'm going to go into something else as well. So this is Nigel Farage celebrating the fact, he says here 180,000 members. That's not true. And you can see from my post here, correction, 180,000 subscribers. Until the Reform Party subscribers can directly remove the leader in a democratic vote, they have no say in who leads the party or how it's run. And I wouldn't join until the party is fully democratised. And that is true. At the minute, you've got no more power than being a subscriber of a YouTube channel. That's all you are. You have no say in how the channel is run. You have no say in the direction that channel goes. And that's exactly the same thing with the Reform Party at the minute. And I know people are going to be angry that I'm criticising the Reform Party. But this is what we have to do. We have to put pressure on them for them to change, to give us the party that we want as a people. We can't just lay down and say, oh, because this is the argument I keep hearing all the time. They're our only hope. They're our only hope. We've got to support them. Yeah, but that support shouldn't be unconditional support. Yes, support them, but force and pressure change within the party so they give you what you require. At the minute, they're not doing that. They're really not. And let's go back to this again. Let's go back to this, right? Because if they're trying to bring in an ISIS bride who has no British citizenship, then what are Reform Party going to do with the 40,000 plus jihadists on our MI5 watch list? Because all those people need deporting. So according to the Reform Party's policies, they would just put them in prison, which we don't have the capacity for. So the Reform Party is going to be soft on jihadists as well, according to this, aren't they? You need to look at what they're actually saying. Yeah, they'll sugarcoat everything. They'll make it out we're the only party that is going to reform and change things. But then you actually dig in and you do your research and you look at what they're actually saying and you realise, no, they're not. It's just something for everybody to think about. This is Vindicator, signing off.